Today's topic is on SRA and supercompensation. Let's go over some of the key terms. CNS, central nervous system, receive, process, and respond to information from the entire body. In this presentation, when we talk about CNS fatigue, it basically just means mental fatigue. Glycogen is a large group of glucose molecule that provides energy for exercise. Frequency is how often individual performs workout within a period of time. Stimulus, recovery, adaptation. SRA influences optimal training frequency. Stimulus, in this case, is the training stress and mechanical damage applied to the body. Recovery, the body replenishes glycogen, repairs muscle fiber, and repairs CNS balance. Adaptation is the performance gain after the overload and recovery. Alright, here's a drawing of the process of adaptation. We start by applying the stimulus to the muscle fiber, and because of that, there's going to be muscle tears and mechanical damage done to the muscle fiber. When we give it time to heal and recover, our body will make the muscle fiber wider and bigger. That is what we call overcompensation or supercompensation. When we stop training with enough intensity, our muscle fiber will shrink in size and lose strength. Here's a visual graph of SRA curve from theory of supercompensation. On the y-axis, it is the performance. On the x-axis, it is the time. So after we apply the stimulus to our body, our performance is going to drop below our baseline. And then afterwards, we're going to recover as we are going to return to the baseline. And there's going to be a short period of time where adaptation is going to take place. And that is the supercompensation phase where our performance is going to be above our baseline. Afterwards, when we stop training with enough intensity, our body is going to dissipate those adaptation as we don't need those extra performance gain. When we wait too long before our next training section, this is what's going to look like, where the entire SRA curve is showing above and there is no performance gain whatsoever. But here is even a worse one. When we train too frequently or train with too much intensity without allowing our body to recover, our performance will actually decline because there's no time to recover and repair those muscle fibers. And here is what we are aiming for. Optimal SRA curve must have a positive slope for our performance when our training frequency is just right and we are training smartly with good fatigue management. SRA duration depends on the load application. When we apply a large amount of stimulus, it will take longer to recover, and the recovery level will also increase to try and adapt so the body can survive the next workout. However, don't take this graph for granted. Refer back to the MRV topic we talked about before. If our training volume is over the upper threshold of the body's adaptive response, adaptation cannot arise because there are too much fatigue. Here's a graph on the approach for functional overreach. We will have a light session in blue and blasted off by a huge training section with close to MRV volume. This method is usually used in peaking phase or right before a deload week. So when we split up performance, we can actually have 4 different types of SRA curve. The first one we're going to talk about is technique. Technique SRA lasts usually between hours to days, and hypertrophy SRA lasts between 24 to 72 hours generally. Neural drive or neuromuscular efficiency lasts about a week, and connective tissue SRA lasts from weeks to months. So here's a graph showing the consequence of having a monofrequency training. In the blue, our technique SRA curve is generally going to stay relatively the same, and that is okay for that. And when we look at the green and the orange, our hypertrophy and neural drive, both of them are relatively having a positive slope, means they are improving. But when we look at the curve in black, the connective tissue, if we don't plan time for those connective tissue to recover, what's going to happen is that eventually we will have a decline in performance for stability and strength for our tendons and joints. Here's a more modern and powerful model of SRA curve used by coaches around the world. Preparedness is the sum of fitness and fatigue in this graph. It is interesting to notice that fatigue overrides fitness at the start, but since fatigue dissipates quicker than fitness, eventually what would happen is that we're going to have a positive preparedness. In this model, fitness is strength, endurance, neuromuscular efficiency, and metabolic capacity. Fatigue is muscle soreness, glycogen depletion, CNS fatigue, or tissue microdamage. We need to understand that fatigue accumulates in proportion to the strength and duration of stimulus. Preparedness in this case is the current ability to perform. The reason why fit-fat model is so powerful is because we can actually quantify the variables, and there's a formula for how to calculate the preparedness. Next video, we will talk about fatigue management. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.